is a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump. Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. And this is not just any day here in America. We are seeing the unprecedented arrest and arraignment of a former sitting United States president under very, very suspicious and ultimately, I think, malicious prosecution-oriented terms. So as we are recording this episode, President Trump has just gone into the courthouse. Headlines are saying he has just gotten arrested and is in police custody. So the arraignment is set to happen soon. And so, of course, tomorrow, once we know more about the indictment itself and those counts, of course, we'll be breaking that all down tomorrow. But Lara Trump, who, of course, is President Trump's daughter-in-law, will join me in just a few moments on the show to talk about how the family is doing and their take overall on this indictment, this weaponization of government, and how President Trump plans to fight this. So we're going to be breaking it all down here, but I want to just say at the outset that the reason that so many of us, and I think anyone who is reasonable and objective in this situation, obviously I'm a conservative, and so I'm looking at it from a constitutional perspective, from a rule of law perspective, and obviously I formerly worked for President Trump. So, you know, have a loyalty there in the sense that I want to make sure that this type of weaponization doesn't occur against anyone I know and care about. But I think anyone reasonable will look at this and understand that it is a malicious prosecution. It is weaponization of government. It is using an institution of government and government power against a political opponent. And this isn't just any political opponent. This is someone who has declared his candidacy for the highest elected office in the United States of America. And now in the court of public opinion, he is going to have this indictment hanging over him unless his lawyers are able to successfully dismiss the case. And this is legally dubious to say the least. And again, tomorrow we will be breaking down the actual substance of the indictment. But what we know from the leaks, which shouldn't happen as well, is that this is at least 30 plus counts against former President Trump. And as Jonathan Turley, who's an excellent lawyer, professor, and scholar in the law said, 34 times nothing is still nothing. And I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. But that's really, what this is all about here is that the left is trying to manipulate this. And suddenly, notice how they turned a little bit. And they are now suggesting that the institutions of justice and the rule of law prevails and that there's never any bias. Well, this is the same left that is claiming that there is systemic injustice and racism and all of this other injustice that is embedded into all of our institutions, especially and particularly the justice system. So wait a minute. Is it only systemic injustice when it's against them and their preferred defendants? When it's against, people of color? When it's against women? When it's against the LGBTQ community? Well, suddenly now we're just supposed to pretend that they think that everything is totally on the up and up and it's totally, completely fair and there's absolutely no bias, no political orientation or motives here just because the defendant's name is Donald Trump. Well, that's insane. No reasonable person would ever believe this. And so the very same people that are suggesting that we need to teach wokeism across all levels of our education system, and we need to tear down the institutions of America, including our justice system, for being systemically unjust, now are lauding these institutions of government as totally legitimate just because the district attorney here happens to be a Democrat and happens to be going after Donald Trump. Well, they can't have it both ways. And they are suggesting that, of course, they can't have it both ways. I was just in a Twitter space earlier, sparring with one of these leftist commentators that was saying, oh, well, this is all on the up and up. And I asked him, okay, what would it take to convince you that this is a malicious prosecution? And his response was, well, if the judge says so. Well, last time I checked, the Democrats are not okay with the judges of the United States Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade, and they're claiming that that's activism. They even want to unseat and impeach and remove those justices for following the law and the U.S. Constitution. But notice how their entire rhetoric shifts when it's based on their own preferred political outcome. That's what's going on here. So don't let them try to swindle you out of rationality, but put it back on them to say, wait a minute, this very same justice system you claimed is systemically unjust, and that there is baked in unjust racism and all other kinds of wokeism since the very founding. That's literally what you want to teach our children in school. And now, suddenly, because it's against your political opponent, everything is fine? Well, absolutely not. So we need to make sure that we continue as conservatives to uphold the rule of law and not allow this double standard when it's against their preferred defendants, like the Black Lives Matter marchers who destroyed and burned U.S. cities and shops and property. But then they're totally fine when this is against a pastor outside of an abortion clinic, or, against a parent who's put on a domestic terrorist watch list simply for showing up at their child's school board meeting. They're holding completely different standards for their own preferred political outcomes versus conservatives who are simply trying to exercise their constitutionally protected rights. We can't allow it, and this is why everyone who is reasonable and rational is terming what's happening today a weaponization of government. So Lara Trump is going to join me in just a few moments. Stand by for that. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. Galatians 6:10 says, "Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers." In Nigeria, there are 7 Christians being killed per day because of their faith in Jesus. Thousands are being driven from their homes on a regular basis. Some people like to talk about the problem, but there are those that do something to solve the problem. So I want to tell you about Equipping the Persecuted. This is a ministry that is actually helping persecuted Christians in Nigeria. Equipping the Persecuted is a boots-on-the-ground mission. They respond to terror attacks within 48 hours, bringing food, medicine, and relief materials. I can't believe all the amazing things Equipping the Persecuted is doing. They have an orphanage, support over 140 widows monthly, and they train and equip village security teams. I have genuinely never seen a mission like this. So I want to encourage all of you to support Equipping the Persecuted by donating $20 a month or more. Become a partner with Equipping the Persecuted to save lives. Visit equippingthepersecuted.org to donate today. Again, please visit equippingthepersecuted.org and become a partner in this amazing ministry. Joining me now is Lara Trump, who, of course, is the daughter-in-law of President Trump. And Lara, thanks so much for joining me. It seems like it was a long time ago that we were sitting on set at the Trump 2020 campaign office with the right view and talking about how great this country would still be under President Trump's leadership. And now we have, just a mere 2 years later, this all unfolding today. So first, I just want to ask you how your family is doing personally and how we can pray for you and President Trump with all of this going on.
Oh, well, thank you, Jenna. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of shocking. It does feel like 100 years ago that all of that, the good old days, so to speak. And now here we are, obviously, the country falling apart in so many respects. And of course, an unprecedented indictment of a former president, my father-in-law, Donald Trump, of course, over something that isn't illegal. There was no crime committed. And I think that's the most shocking part of all of this to so many people. But look, as a family, sadly, I think we're all sort of used to this sort of treatment. It certainly has felt like since the day my father-in-law came down the escalators in Trump Tower and announced he was running for president, that they have tried to attack him. They've gone out of their way, any possible direction they could, to get Trump, to look for any way to bring him down. And whether it was the Russia collusion hoax, whether it was a perfectly acceptable phone call to Ukraine, indictments, January 6th, the raid at Mar-a-Lago, and now we're at this, it seems like they'll stop at nothing to bring down Donald Trump. And you have to ask yourself, I think, as an American, why? Why do they continue to focus on this one man? And I think the truth is they're terrified that Donald Trump will end up back in the White House. And it was bad enough for a lot of the folks in the establishment and on the left when he was in there the first time, because he sure exposed a lot of people. We know that he didn't want the help of lobbyists or special interest groups. He worked solely on behalf of the American people. They are terrified that if Donald Trump gets back in the White House, the jig is up for a lot of them. They will be fully exposed. The swamp will be drained, and they can't afford to see that happen. So here we are, where they have, weaponized the justice system against a political opponent. And it really feels more like we are in the communist USSR than the United States of America. But I'll tell you, as a family, we've never been prouder of my father-in-law. I have never known a person to be able to withstand as much as he has at this point, the attacks, the incoming, obviously constant for him, and still keep his head up and still say, I am determined to go forward and I'm determined to win the White House. So, you know what? It's sadly another day for all of us and another attack. We'll get through it. And I think on the other side of this, a lot of people will have been awakened to something they never thought they'd see in America. And maybe it will change their mind a little bit about how they're voting in the future.
I hope it does. And I hope that this has woken up a lot of people to see how the Democrats and the Never Trumpers, and in some sense, the uniparty of the deep swamp, is really after our civil liberties. I mean, when you look at what's happening, not only to Donald Trump, but also to parents who stand up at their children's educational board meetings and just want to know what's going on in their curriculum. When you look at pastors outside of abortion clinics who just simply want to advance the pro-life agenda and speak. When you look at, the lawyers, including me, that worked for your father-in-law, who,
Right.
The system has been targeted against us as well. I mean, in our licenses and so many other things against so many conservatives. And it's all just one thing. It's to silence us, it's to intimidate us, and it's to get us to back down and just go along with their agenda. And so with Donald Trump now facing this indictment, and he's clearly not backing down, I think that gives a lot of people the courage to stand up and say, you know what, we're not going to take this, and we have to make sure that our institutions are protected and our U.S. Constitution is protected. How can people best support that when, maybe they're not Donald Trump, they don't have the platform that he does, but we want to help, and we want to say we're preserving and protecting our country and our civil liberties and constitutional rights for the next generation.
I mean, nothing is more important, honestly, than righting these wrongs and turning our country back in the right direction and ensuring that we are the free country that we always have been. I would encourage people, look, if you're upset about what happened to Donald Trump, if you're upset about what happens to parents who are labeled domestic terrorists, Jenna, as you just said, who simply go and want their voices heard at their kids' school board meetings, so many different instances, whether it's online or to people who want to go and at least have their voices heard in front of an abortion clinic. If you're frustrated about that, then let's make sure that in 2024, we take this country back. Make sure that we put somebody in office who will actually be fighting to rectify these injustices. And I would say that man is Donald Trump. And if anyone wants to volunteer, donaldjtrump.com is the website. If you want to donate, you can donate there as well. The amazing thing is we have seen such an influx of support, Jenna, since all of this began, since this indictment came down, or we knew that it was going to happen. I believe last Thursday, in the past 4 days, we've raised $8 million at the Trump campaign, and a quarter of that money has come from people who never before, not in any election cycle, had ever donated to Donald Trump. So I think people are waking up and getting it to an extent, but we can't allow this to happen, because once they take our rights away, they don't just give them back. So this is a fight we all have to be in together. We all have to go forward over the next year and a half and make sure that we're not going to take it from the Democrats. Make your voices heard. Make sure you go out and use your First Amendment freedoms at any opportunity you possibly can. And let's take back the White House in 2024 so that we can get this country back, because it is a very scary time, I think, for a lot of people to see the way it feels like our rights truly have been taken away. And nothing is a more glaring example of that, of course, than seeing what's happened today to my father-in-law.
Yeah, and he said it so correctly, and he predicted this so wisely when he told me, just almost immediately after leaving office, this country isn't going to survive for 4 years with Joe Biden at the helm and with all of this weaponization of government. And to see what has happened in only 2 years under the Democrats' leadership in the White House, it is scary. And I think for a lot of Americans, we're seeing our country be transformed into something that it was founded expressly against. And so when we look at the true enemy here, which is, of course, anyone that wants to tear down our U.S. constitutions, deprive us of our civil liberties, without due process and without, really any semblance of genuine justice. This is all about weaponizing the political system. Let's look at the Republican Party, though, for a few moments, because this is an opportunity, I think, for a lot of unity among conservatives and even those people that you mentioned who are first-time engagers who maybe they haven't even participated in politics, but they're getting involved now because they're seeing what's happening. There are so many people who are either running against or, Ron DeSantis, who may run against President Trump. I think that he sees him as kind of the top potential opponent. And so how is the rhetoric among, the candidates helpful or not? And how do you see President Trump taking this opportunity potentially to unify conservatives around this common theme that we have to protect our country?
Yeah, well, and I think there has been a lot of support. I think you've heard from just about anyone who has declared at this point that they're running for the Republican ticket. Come out and say, this is terrible. This is not America. This is not something we should all stand for. What's happening to Donald Trump is completely wrong in every way possible. And so I've been really happy to see that happen. And I think we have to be unified. We have to take on this fight together, because it is all of us that will make the difference. Ultimately, we can't be a fractured party. And I think the great thing, by the way, Jenna, on the Republican side, is that we have such great potential, so many great people who have announced they're running for president. We got a deep bench on our side who might announce a run for president. And you look over to the Democrat side, and who do they have? They have no one. They have Joe Biden, who can barely squeak together a sentence, even if it's written for him on a teleprompter. You have Kamala Harris, who's even less popular than Joe Biden at this point. Maybe Pete Buttigieg, maybe Gavin Newsom. They have no one on the Democrat side. So people ask themselves, why is this happening? Why are they doing this to Donald Trump? Why are they being so aggressive with so many conservatives? And it's because they know, I think, that that's the only way they can win is by disqualifying the top contender on the Republican side. But I would just say that at this point, it feels truly like our party has unified around my father-in-law. Everyone understands that this is something that is completely un-American, and we cannot stand for this to happen. And so I've been very pleased to see all of the support around him. And not just from Republicans, by the way, from people who I don't think ever really considered themselves, as you just said, political. They never got involved in politics. People have really seen what has happened here and realized that this is something you would see in authoritarian or communist countries, not in America. So I think the unity is key. And I think as we go forward towards November of 2024, we need to stay unified and stay focused on the prize, which is taking back the White House.
Really well said. And I think that regardless of anyone's political party, or especially within the Republican camp, no matter who you support, we should all be able to coalesce and agree that this type of weaponization of government on all levels, and especially against a former sitting president that is so unprecedented in American history, should not happen. And we can all agree on that. And hopefully the weaponization of government committees out of Congress, and we can see some legislative remedies, and we can see some things that are tangible going on the offensive, not just sitting back and being on the defensive. I think that's one of the things that starting in 2016 and all the way up through today, people love about President Trump. And I know that that's one thing I sincerely respect about him is he goes on the offensive. He doesn't just sit back and say, let's wait and see what happens, and we'll just play on, kind of the nice guys team. He's always willing to go on the offensive and tell it how it is. And people love him and respect him for that. And so my last question to you, Lara, and I know you have so much going on today, so I really appreciate the time that you can spend with me. If there is a gag order in place, and we're recording this, as President Trump is going into that arraignment, how do you think that he's going to handle that? Because people want to hear from him. He's set to speak from Mar-a-Lago tonight. I don't really see him, wanting to go along with that.
Well, I mean, to say that you can predict Donald Trump and what he'll do, I've never predicted very much of anything with him because I know better. But it would be really incredible in the worst possible way to see if there was a gag order in this case against my father-in-law, and he wasn't able to speak. This is a candidate for president of the United States, the front runner on the Republican side for president of the United States. So to have a judge who's very clearly partisan, who we know how he voted, if you look at his family, implement something like this. I mean, I can't think of a greater election interference claim possible. That's exactly what it would be. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm sure you're right. I don't think my father-in-law would take kindly to that, and I don't know how he would respond to it. But time will tell, and hopefully cooler heads prevail, and this judge realizes what's at stake here, not just right now in this moment in America, but going forward, the precedent that something like this would ultimately set, and what it would mean for down the line, maybe not a Republican next time, maybe a Democrat in a Republican district. So I think and I hope that he'll do something that is wiser than implement a gag order. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see if he is wise and unbiased on all levels, facing all of the challenges that are sure to come from the Trump legal team. So, Lara Trump, really appreciate it. We love and support your family so much. We're praying for you. We're praying for President Trump, for the entire legal team. And so thank you so much for your insights today. And, this is a terrible day in America. And so appreciate your outlook and wanting to advocate for what's right here and for the truth and the rule of law.
Oh, you got it. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Thanks. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.